get out there and get dirty and I go catch my guys.
No,
I
you do?
Yeah. I suit up and everything. Yeah. So, but he's going in custody today. There's no other option. He got away the first time, tried to run us over. Yeah. Tried to run us over in Family Dollar parking lot.
So how does it work? Because to me, the way I thought the system worked is that somebody's got $100,000 bond that they need somebody to put up $100,000, and so they come to you. They give you 10%, $10,000, maybe a fee for an application fee or whatever, $100, $200, and then you put up the 100,000, or you have some kind of an insurance company or something that puts up 100,000. Either they physically put it up, or they just agree to pay the 100,000 on your behalf, and then you get to make. So then the guy he's out on bond for 90 days, 6 months. He goes to court. He's found guilty, or he pleads guilty. He goes to jail for 5 years, whatever, or maybe he goes to trial. Either way, when the case is resolved, you basically have made your fee you've made that $10,000.
Yes.
I was always wondering, like, how long can they stay out? Because I know guys that their trial wasn't for 3 years. And then the other thing is, I'd like to know, like, what happens if the guy takes off? Like, how does all of that work? Because let's face it, guy gets $100,000. Like, I'm assuming you don't have $100,000 of your own money to put up.
Right.
So how does that work?
So $100,000 would be the $10,000 bond premium. They would pay the bondsman. So a percentage goes to your insurance company for their profit, and a percentage goes to something called a build-up fund account for you, and that's for all of your skips. And skips are when people miss court. So every bond that you write, some of it's going to go to the insurance, and some of it's going to go to the build-up fund account, and some of and the rest of it is yours.
So you're not making $10,000,
right? No,
right.
No,
You're making a couple thousand.
No, it's better than that.
Okay.
Now, so I'll break the percentage down to you. So I have a great rate with my insurance company. So every bond that I write, so that $10,000, 12% of that is going to go to my insurance company.
So they get $1,200 plus. You said there's a build-up
fund. So that's a 10%, another 10%.
Is that something that they require?
Yes. The insurance companies requires that.
And and that's money that just goes and sits in an account.
It just sits in an account for your skips, because people are gonna miss court. That's part of the business,
But you don't automatically lose that if they miss court, right?
So if they miss court, you have like 60 days to capture these jokers. And then after the 60 days, the full bond amount, for instance, $100,000 has to be paid to that county clerk, like Hillsborough County Clerk of Court, Polk County Clerk of Court. So do you get some of that money back? You do. It's like a percentage. Like every 90 days it goes down. So you do get some of your money back, as long as you get them in custody. So
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, at all. So I shared this one situation with this guy. His name was Solanto, and I made him America's Most Wanted because I used social media to help me.
Okay.
Yes. So
what was his bond?
His bond was $89,500, but I'm going to give you guys the backstory of this.
Okay. So
bond the sucker out. Bond was $89,500. He's attending his court dates, but the person that I got a tip. Yeah, person called me and said, "Hey, this dude's gonna run on you." I'm like, "You sure he's doing what he needs to do?"
So who does a tip like that come from? Just like a girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, a friend?
Yes. It could be a friend. It could be a family member, girlfriend. It might be upset baby mama.
But there's nothing you can do if somebody just randomly calls, right?
Yeah, sometimes you can. Because it's if they can give me details of like what they're saying and things like that, I'm like, wow, he might do something.
Right.
So it was a trafficking case, and so the guy was facing a lot of time. He's a career criminal, and he was facing a lot of time. So I'm like, So I will go to court, and I will pick them up at their court dates. You want to run on me? I'm going to get you from court. So I let the bailiffs know, hey, this is what's going to happen. If I need help, they're going to help me. So I went to his court date and I clank him after the
You
court
put the
date.
cuffs
I
on?
put the cuffs on. Yeah. I put the cuffs on him. Yeah. So I'm like, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I know the plan. I know what's going on. And I got to get you in custody. I said, because I don't have any collateral for you. And this is just too big. This is a big risk that I'm taking. I'm just kind of starting off. So he's like, So I had my other bail bond buddy transport him to the jail. And I met him at the jail. We do all the paperwork. And he's like, don't do me like this. And because we had a relationship, like a personal relationship, friendship. And so I'm like, this, at the end of the day, this is still my business, you know? So, so I go.
You got 3 kids.
I got 3 kids. I got
responsibilities.
So I go out to Vegas, and then families calling like, "Oh, we need him out. Mom's gonna pass away." And I have a really big heart. I cannot stand this heart of mine, but I do. I have a really big heart. So I'm like, Mom's saying she's gonna make sure he gets there, but mind you, Mom's co-defendant. Mom's co-defendant. Yeah. So, but I'm still trusting her. She's talking about God and this God-fearing woman. So I let her play on me. Yeah, she played on me. So I go get the Joker again.
Distributing.
Yeah.
God-fearing
But
woman.
God-fearing one.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
So I go get him again after I get back from Vegas. Another $89,500. So
you get him out again.
Second time.
He pays you again.
Right. Some of it, not all of it. So he pays me some of it. And I get him out the second time. And months go by and he's going to do what he needs to do. And then he deletes me off of social media, changes his phone number. I'm like, oh, shoot, this dude is about to run.
Seem like some red flags.
Yeah.
Now, why would you do that first?
Exactly. I'm like, what? So I'm like, oh my God, he's going to run. And so he missed court. So I get something called a forfeiture. It's a forfeiture letter saying this defendant missed court on this date at this time. You have to pay the Hillsborough County Clerk of Court X amount of dollars.
You have like 72 hours or?
So you have 60 days.
Oh, okay.
They're giving you 60 days. So I'm like, I'm going to catch him. Yeah, I'll catch him. Yeah. I said, the police will catch him or I'm going to catch him because I get out there and get dirty and I go catch my guys.
No,
I
do?
Yeah. I suit up and everything. Yeah. So have my gun, my taser, my mace, all of that. So I'm like, oh my God, hopefully the police just get him, So that didn't happen. It went on for months. So the money had to be paid. So the first set of bonds that I committed him on, I never filled out the application of exoneration that has to be filed with the county. So that clears you from that first set of bonds. So I got him out again. So another $89,500. So the court's like, you got to pay for all of it. So it ended up being like $152,000. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, but I put him in custody the first set. So we're trying to fight, me and my attorney, but they were not hearing it. They wanted the money. The courts wanted the money.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same person. Like,
yes, it's the same person.
It's a technicality.
It's a technicality, but they didn't care. We want our money. And if you don't pay your money, your license gets suspended.
Right.
So 150.
Can't believe you're sitting here saying that the government would be unreasonable.
Yeah.
but
That's a whole nother story. So $152,000 was cut, a check to them, to the clerk of court. And my insurance company, they wrote that bad boy out. Yeah, they wrote that check out.
Do they cancel you and say,
No.
hey, we're done?
Sometimes they will, but
you had a good relationship?
I had a good relationship, and they know that I don't write bad bonds. So
Right.
This is rare, And I'm like, listen, you guys know I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to get him.
I'm good for it, right?
I'm good for it, right? So, but I was still a little nervous because I'm like, that's a lot of money,
So where is he? Like, are you getting leads?
Yep,
Are you like, oh, he's in Vegas or he's in LA?
So they were like, oh, he's in Tampa. He's in the Highland Pines area. Oh, he's in Ocala. He's in Gainesville.
You at least know he's here.
He's here. He hasn't left Florida. Doesn't have the means to run. You got to have money and resources.
Well, he's forking out $8,000 roughly every time. He's got some money.
Well, I will tell you, I work with people. I let them do payment plans. So, he should have had all of it, but he didn't have all of it. So, so yeah, so he's going from different places and I'm getting all these different tips. So So I'm like, you know what? Let me put this stuff out on social media. They don't like when they're all over social media.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, I found my little niche with that. Like, okay, you guys don't like that. So he's sending words back to me through the street. So me and him are kind of arguing through social media. Yes.
So what are you putting out there? Like,
So
did you put
I'm
a picture of him? And,
yeah, I put a picture, and his whole face is tattooed, and
oh, so it's not like he's going to change his name and go get a job at the bank.
no, he definitely won't go get a job.
He's only going to be selling drugs again.
That's it. Yeah, he can't go get a job. His whole face is. So I used to say, let's find the clown face. You know,
Right.
so I kind of put some. Try to make funny.
Right.
And so everybody will laugh, and then I'll get a little bit more tips and stuff like that, and then. He ran, though, for 8 months. So I get a good tip on him, and I call my team. I do have a team. And I call my team like, hey, this is what's going on. I need you to be at this location.
Is it the same person giving you tips?
Different people. Yeah, and there's people right up under him.
Okay.
Yeah, right up under him. Could be girlfriends that he's pissed off. So this particular tip led to him, and he was in Gainesville. Had gotten a house. Had a roommate. He was living there. So he really thought he was going to be able to run forever. Yeah. So we got him in custody, and right now you have to file a motion to get your money back. So that takes months to get back. But we know it's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
So how much of your money did you get back?
So 85%.
Oh, okay. So you know what this reminds me of? And we had a bondsman before. No, we had a bounty hunter before. Have you ever heard of Stephanie Plum?
Mm-mm.
Oh, he didn't listen. She works for Bailbondsman, so she's whatever the bounty hunter. She's a bounty hunter.
Okay.
They're novels, and it's a series of novels. And I mean, I read like 13 of them.
Wow.
Of course, I was locked up at the time, so I'm reading them.
Right.
But and they're silly.
Right.
It's very very popish,
Right.
But they had all of them when I was locked up, and it's a woman who was broke, and she had a uncle who was a bail bondsman, and she came in and said, look, let me work for you. And they're like, what are you talking about? 110 pounds. And, and she's in like New Jersey. She's got a little attitude and the whole thing. But but you're the Black Stephanie Plum.
Yeah.
I'll send you the books. They're hilarious.
Yeah, send them to me.
They even made a movie. It was a bad movie, but it had like big actors in it and stuff, but it didn't do. And even the actress that they had play her, she was like tall, like she was a tiny little thing in the.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. But that's like what you're saying is like it's so silly.
Yeah.
All the things that happen.
Yes, absolutely. So, Gainesville, he's in Gainesville, got a location. Team goes out. I didn't go because I had some other stuff going on in the city. So I'm like, I'll just go get him. And like I said, me and him, we were friends. Like we were friends at one point. So, they go get him. They go in with guns drawn. He tries to run out the back door. They got their shotguns like at the back, and he couldn't do nothing but give up. So what's the process like if this guy, like, these aren't police officers, right?
But if he runs out the back and I'm standing there with I'm a bounty hunter. Is that what they call them? Bounty hunters?
Well, they're bail bondsmen in Florida. Like other states are called bounty hunters, but in Florida they're just bail bond agents.
Okay, so there's a couple bail bond agents that are there.
Right.
They got a shotgun and another one's got a gun.
Yeah.
And you run out. Like, are they allowed to stop him by any means possible, or do they have to be in fear of their life? Or
in fear of their life, and we typically use like a taser,
right?
Mace. You don't want to just shoot somebody.
Right.
It's kind of just like law enforcement. But if they are armed, you have the right to do what you have to do.
Right.
So he was not armed, and he had no choice but to give up. So they took him in custody. They drove him down here to Hillsborough County, and I just put on a show at the jail. I let the jail know, hey, this guy's been on the run for like 8 months. I'm going to record this. So, and so we all just got some good laughs and gags at the jail that night. So we waited a couple hours for him to get here.
Right.
And so I'm recording him walking up, and he is mad as hell. I'm like, dude, you're like, I was trafficking in fentanyl. Like, you ran off on me. So I'm like,
You cost me $152,000.
So I'm like, do you want to say something for the Instagram? And he's like, leave me alone, Shay. And so I'm like, I got to do this to you because you really have driven me crazy for 8 months. So we get in there and I'm like, listen, put some respect on Duke's Bailbond name. Like, don't ever try us. Like, don't do us like that. So we're recording and me and the jail officer, we're laughing and stuff. And he was just like, I'm sorry. I said, yeah, you're sorry that you got caught. You know, I said, it's all good. I said, we got you in custody now. Then I can get my money back. So that was that went through the city. Like, oh my gosh, she ended up getting him. Like, that was big for me. All the bail bonds were calling me. You ended up getting him. How did you get him? I said, well, I'm not going to tell you my resources, But yeah, I ended up getting him. I'm very persistent and I'm going to work those tips. Like, I'm going to get that person. I'm not going to let them just get off. Like, no, I need my money back.
Well, what ultimately did he end up getting found guilty?
So he's still going through the process. So he goes to court in June, like for just a status review. I've been following the case.
Right.
So he'll probably go to pretrial this year, but I don't have a date of when he'll go to pretrial. So I'm definitely following the case, but he was facing like 15 to 20 years before he ran. So we shall see what mom and
is his mom still out?
Oh yeah, she's out on bond.
She's out on bond.
Yeah.
Did you bond her or no?
Mm-mm. She bought it through another agency, and that's a whole nother story. Yeah, that's a whole nother story because I was trying to get that Bailbondsman. Listen, she may run on you. Let's revoke her bond, so then she'll tell us where he's at. He would not do it. He would not budge. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we're all part of the same family. Got to work together, right?
Together.
Not everybody.
Not everybody. And the bail bonding business is very competitive. So if one sinks, they feel like, oh, I'm gonna get their clients, So
when you started and you're like, hey, I'm starting to make good money. At what point did you transition? Like, at what point did you say, okay, I'm not going to be a psychologist anymore. I'm not going to do the school thing anymore. My time is better served doing this.
Absolutely. I'm going to tell you the story. So
all right.
I get a call from the jail one day, and I was working as a school psychologist, and I get a call from the jail, and the guy says, hey, I got a $500,000 bond. And I'm like, oh, okay. Wow. And he's like, we have all the money. He's like, but they reduced my bond to $375,000. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, so you have all of the money to get out on a $375,000 bond. So
wait, does that mean you have $375,000 or you have $35,000?
$37,500.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm like, wow, that's a person's whole salary. So I'm like, I'm going to get this approved through the insurance company. So we go through the process of getting a signer that was retired, a great signer. He's ex-military, good dude, never been in any trouble before. So we get him qualified for $375,000 bond with no collateral.
Because that's somebody. So the guy in jail has someone on the outside that will sign for it and guarantee it.
A guarantee, okay. Yeah, exactly. So mom signs for him, and so she's like, "Well, how do I get the $37,500 to you?" It's like, you could wire it. So I give her the information to the account. The next couple hours, I'm like, whoa, $37,500 is in my account. So I'm like, I'm going to quit the school district. This is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, I'm getting a whole person's salary in one, and then the phone keeps ringing with more and more bonds. Like, I'm going to be able to quit this. So, but I had 17 years in with the school district, so I just couldn't do that, Oh,
yeah. Don't you need to, what is it? Don't you, at 20 or is it 25?
It's 20, 25. Yeah, it's 25. Yeah. So I'm like, I was so sick of the school district. It's not what it used to be. So, that particular bond just kind of made me look at life a little bit differently. Like, whoa, I can pay this off. I can pay this up, So I ended up getting the guy approved, and we wrote the bond out. Like I said, money came. Mom ended up getting an ankle monitor for him. He had to wear ankle monitors so we can monitor wherever he's at,
Right.
And so he ended up getting released or whatever. So from that day forward, my phone just continued to ring with more and more bonds. And so I'm
I mean,
like,
are you advertising?
Google, and then word of mouth. And I will tell you, I worked at the alternative school in the district. That's the kids get suspended and expelled from all the traditional schools, and they're sent to this non-traditional school, which is the alternative school.
Right.
So I always tell people this story too. September 1st of 2021, I opened my bail bond business. September 3rd of 2021, one of my favorite students went to jail in Orient Road Jail. And he was like, I used to be his teacher at the time. My teacher is a Bailbondsman now. So he spreaded my name throughout the whole jail. So my phone would not stop ringing. So that's all it took. That's all it took, word of mouth. And so it just went rampant. And that's how the one guy with the $375,000 bond, that's how he ended up contacting me. So how I market, Google does its job, and word of mouth. And if you treat people the way they want to be treated, your name goes a long way. So,
what happened with that person, the 350 bond?
He's still out on bond.
Really?
Yeah, he's still out on bond.
So how long can you stay out on a bond?
Until the case is over.
So what if that's 3 years?
Yeah, it's going on 3 years.
Oh, I assumed that after, whatever, a year, they had to re-up or something.
No, he is out on bond until this case is over. That lingers over your head.
Why was his bond so big? What was the case? Do you remember?
A child was harmed and died.
Okay.
Yeah, so he, like I say, had never been in any trouble before. Good guy, ex-military, crazy situation. I don't really want to talk about that. But, but yeah, he's still fighting right now. So, so he's still out on bond 3 years later. Yeah.
And did you actually open a storefront?
Yes. So you have to by law have the office.
Okay. You can't do it out of your spare room.
You can't do it out your spare room.
Or you can do it like this
No.
in your living room?
No,
Okay.
you can't do that. You have to have an office. So I have an office in Temple Terrace area.
I grew up in Temple Terrace.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually like that area. So, so that's where my office is at, is in Temple Terrace. And so people come
on Bush, 56th Street?
56th Street.
56th Street.
Yeah, the 56th, right down the street from King High School.
Yeah. I dated a couple of girls went to King High School.
Yeah. I used to work at King High School.
Did you?
Yeah, I was a school psychologist.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So a lot of those kids I work with, I'm bonding them out now.
Jeez, that's...
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so it's but somebody has to get the job done. Let me be the one get it done,
I mean, when you see them come in there, you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
But I'm not judgmental.
No.
I keep it so real with them. I'm like, I told you guys in school this is what's gonna happen, and they're like, I know, miss. And
so, so do the same people kind of come over and over and over again?
Some of them, I call them my frequent flyers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I'll go get them. Some of them, they're like, miss, I'm gonna pay you when I get out. I'll go get them with nothing because I know they're gonna pay me, because they're going to need me again. So I call those my frequent flyers. Those are my frequent flyer babies.
So some guy gets arrested, goes to jail, gets a $10,000 or $20,000 bond. You get him out for nothing? That's nuts.
It is. It's my heart. I'm getting better at saying, no, I need my money up front now, because you will take some losses doing that. So I've learned. But some of my frequent flyers that they just come as soon as they get out, here's the money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
if they have that history.
You have to have a history, and we have to have a relationship with each other before I would do something like that. But yeah, if they have a history or doing what they need to do and they don't have the money right then, miss, I just need to go to this when I get out, and so that happens. So I'll go get them on $10,000 bond, $1,000.
So I got a question with how the money works, I guess. So $100,000 bond, you have to put up $10,000 to get them out. Mm-hmm. And with that $10,000, that's the inmates providing that to you?
Yes, the family.
Family, somebody.
Inmate, somebody.
And you said 12% goes to insurance.
Right. And then 10% goes to
12% of the $10,000,
yeah.
$1,200.
Yeah.
And then 10% goes to my build-up fund account. It's called a buff account.
Just to have like a buffer for
people that skip court.
Okay. So then you have, let's just say, 7,500, 7,000 left. What's that money?
That's yours.
That's yours. Mm-hmm. But if they go on the run, then what? You're liable for the 100,000?
Yes.
Well, the insurance company will pay it.
They'll pay. And so the insurance company is going to take it out that build-up fund account. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of money in that account because every single bond you write, they're going to put money, 10% of that.
So fairly quickly.
It
builds up to cover a lot
of the bonds. But if you come in fresh in the game like I did with the $152,000, that wiped me out.
Yeah. So if someone runs and what if you don't have the money in your build-up account? The insurance
company's gonna cover the rest.
And then
they're looking at you like, okay, what's up? Like, what are you gonna do? You better get this guy. You know what I'm saying? So.
So when you send someone, I'm sorry, are you done?
No, that's it. Yeah,
I was wondering, when you send someone out to go find somebody, I mean, I understand you're able to do it also, but when you send someone out, let's say you're busy, whatever, and you said you have like a team of people. Are these other bondsmen like you that are just a group like, hey, we're kind of all affiliated, or are these people that work underneath you? No,
they're just Bailbondsmen, and the insurance company has hired them. Say, hey, we need you. There's just a team. We need you to go get these people.
Okay, so you send out whatever 2 or 3 guys. And they grab the guy. Do you pay them?
The insurance company will pay them.
What do they pay them?
10%. So
10% of the
$100,000. So they'll get $10,000, and they split it up amongst each other.
Oh man,
that's why, like, I would just pay. I used to pay bondsmen. Look, go get this person. But now I'm like, I'm going to go get it myself. Because that's money you're losing. You know what I'm saying?
Typically, when you show up at somebody's house, you knock on the door. They know they skipped. They open the door. You see them. Do they bolt, or do they typically just go, all right, let me get a change of clothes. You can come in. Can I at least make a phone call? Can I let me get $100, put this on my books. You know what I'm saying? Like, mm-hmm. Or did they jump out the window and run across the street? And
so every situation is different. You just don't know what you're going to get. I've had people just say, you got me. And they put their hands behind their back and cuff them. You got people that have ran under their house, jumped gates, and
well, you don't do that. You're not chasing.
I do. I promise you. I put my tennis shoes. I know, but I put my tennis shoes on, and I'm a whole nother person when it comes down to a skip. Like, I'm a whole nother person. So yeah, I've had to jump gate, and I will tell you. Let me go back to the student that helped me start my business. He was my first person that ran on me on a $20,000 bond. And he jumped gates, and he was like, you're not taking me in. I'm like, listen here, I'm not your teacher now. I'm a Bailbondsman, you know? And so I'm like, don't do this. Like, don't do this.
This is the argument while you're running?
Yes. I'm like, come on, you know? And then he's like, no, I can't go to jail, Miss Dixon. I'm like, you're going today. So me and another bondsman, we're chasing him. We're jumping gates, all of that, you know? So we ended up getting him on the ground, and we got him in custody. And I took him in my car. You take him in your car, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, miss." And I'm like, "Yeah,
they're always sorry
when they get caught." So yeah, that one was very eventful. Like, oh my gosh.
You don't like it. How far does a taser shoot? Like, I'm thinking, if I start getting close to him, I might just pull out a taser, stop, and be like, and hit this guy.
Yeah, and I didn't want to do him like that because, like I said,
we're not friends anymore.
I know, and I'm just so soft-hearted. I hate that about myself. But yeah, I didn't want to tase him. His kids are out there, and then the whole neighborhood was out.
How many? What percentage of your clients are people that you've known previously, or is it just a select few?
Can't be that high now.
Like 40%.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because I've worked with all the at-risk individuals in the school district, and now they're old. They're adults now. They're going to jail. They're not going to juvenile. They're like, and I was working in the district, and I was like 24 years old, you know, and some of the kids are like 16, 15. So they're a little bit younger than me now, you know what I'm saying? So they're still getting in trouble.
Do you just do like state? Or what if it's federal?
No federal, just state.
How come?
Well, federal, they'll do like a signature bond for them. Like, you sign the paper saying I will be back and I will appear at all my.
Or they don't give them anything.
And they don't give them anything. They just sit. So yeah, we don't bother with federal bonds. Yeah.
But it still works the same. If they were to say 200,000, because I mean they do sometimes. Like you're right. Like normally it's like we're either going to let them out or we're not going to let them out, and we'll let them sign them for themselves.
Yeah. Signature bonds.
But it would work probably the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, works pretty much the same. So like I said, some people will just surrender. And like, you got me. And some people are like, listen here, I'm not ready to go right now. And they're going to do whatever they have to. And then you got to do whatever you have to. I'll share another story. $100,000 bond. This was a trafficking and fentanyl case too. And this individual, he was something else. Like he paid the full $10,000. And I got a tip that he was going to run. So I get him into the office and I clank him. Because I'm like, I clank him. Yeah, I clank him. So he's like, what are you doing? I say, I heard about your little plan. I'm going to stop it right now. Shay, I wouldn't do you like that. They have so much game. Like,
yeah.
They have so much game. So me being the soft-hearted person that I am, I ended up saying, okay, listen, if you put an ankle monitor on, I'm gonna let you go. You got pretrial coming up. You better go. Pretrial.
Just cut the ankle monitor off. To me, if I'm going to run, I'll cut the ankle monitor.
And they do that. They'll cut the ankle monitor off. They do all that. So I was just being nice, So I ended up letting him go. He's like, I haven't missed any court dates. I had no failure to appears in my background. I say, you're absolutely right. You do go to all your court dates. You are a career criminal, but you attend all your court hearings. I love it.
Yes, you're well behaved.
Yeah, you're well behaved. So, so I took all of that in consideration. So, boom, pretrial comes. He runs. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, I got to get out here in the community and get some tips on him, So you have the application that they fill out, the signer as well as the defendant. So that's what you have to work off of. Let's get in contact with some of these people that's on the signer's information and the defendant's information. So that's where you start off.
Right.
So I'm doing background checks on all these people, going to their houses and things like that. So this one particular house I went to, he's like, yeah, I'll get him for you, but you got to give me some money. I said, absolutely, reward money. I got some cash money for you. So I give him half.
So this is just some guy who said, I'm going to grab him and hold him?
He knows, he really, really knew him, so.
Not I'm going to go to his house and call you when I'm there, but no, I'm going to.
No, he says, I'm going to get him for you and I'll send you the location. So when I'm sending you the location, that's where you need to go pick him up at.
Okay.
So did that. So, me and my son's, he's a bail bond agent because he would see that mom was out here.
How old's your son?
He's 20.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 20. So he'll see that mom was.
Exciting for a 20.
It is. It is. So he would see that mom was out here catching these guys. So he's like, I'm going to go protect my mom, So he became a bail bond agent. So me and him go out and pick up the guys ourselves. So this particular case, got a tip where this guy was at. And he did get away the first time. Tried to run us over. Yeah, tried to run us over in a Family Dollar parking lot. So, okay, you can go, but I promise you I'm going to get you. I'm definitely going to get you now.
So what's the little back, like the details of that?
Like you pulled up, he's already in the car or what?
So I pull up, he's in the car, and Sean, which is my son, he jumps out with the taser. And the defendant is like, oh, shoot, like, oh, my God. And so it was just a little bit of room where he could maneuver the car. Mm-hmm. And he did it. He was able to maneuver the car and he got out. And so he drove off. And so it's a couple weeks. I was like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy the holidays. It was around holiday time. I'm enjoying my holidays, but you better believe I'm going to get you. Like, I'm really going to get you. So the guy calls back again. He says, hey, I'm gonna provide you with a location. So I was like, okay. So got the location. So you have to sit on the house. Sometimes you're doing surveillance for hours. You're just sitting watching the movement. So at the house, it looks like a McDonald's drive-through traffic Like, you have people pulling up on their bikes, getting drugs, just drug transaction. Nice neighborhood too in Carrollwood. And so I'm just sitting back, watching everything going on and waiting for the guy to come out and get in the car. So we were there for probably about 3 hours. He jumps in the car. So I tell my son, I said, listen, we're either going to make him flip that bitch over, excuse my language, but he's going in custody today. There's no other options. So he's driving, and I'm in another car, so he doesn't know this car that I'm in. So we're driving, and he's switching lanes, and I'm switching lanes too, but I'm trailing him, and he doesn't have a clue. So we cross over Pasco County line, and so he goes into Walmart to get gas. So I said, Sean, this is it, and I do call 911. I said, this is what's going to happen. If anyone calling with disturbance, this is us. We're bail bond agents. We're about to get one of our skips. So they're like, no, wait till we get there. No, we can't wait for y'all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We have got to get you. We've got to get him. This is $100,000. So we jump out. Poof, we jump out. We both come around with with a taser and a gun, and he runs. So I'm like,
but not in the car.
No, he's on foot now. So I said, Sean, shoot him with the taser. Taser did not work. Like, some of them are so high, like the taser won't work. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So we are chasing this guy into Walmart. So we chase him into Walmart and Lutz. And my son had
the big one, right?
The big one,
Super Walmart.
It was like a movie. It was a movie that day. So he jumped on him like a football player because he's a big kid, and tackled him into the subway table and blood everywhere. And so we ended up getting him into cuffs, and then the ambulance had to come get him. And he was
only in Walmart.
Only in Walmart. So everybody,
nobody skipped a beat.
Yeah.
They kept bringing up their own stuff.
No. Yeah.
Must be a Bailbondsman.
Yeah. You know what? They actually were like, holy crap, this is oh my God, we got this recorded. Like, they were so excited that day. It was so exciting at that Walmart that day. But yeah, we ended up getting him in custody. He had to go to the hospital, and then they transported him into the jail. And so we didn't have to pay the $100,000. But that was a fun day. Like, I was like, I kind of like this.
Has anybody skipped and they're gone?
Yes. Yeah, I have two that I know where they're at. I'm gonna go get them.
Is this recently?
So it happened a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
And it's case two.
Boy, all this is
they're giving out a lot of time for these cases.
Right.
Like, it's a lot. So they're running. So I don't even bond on all cases, even with collateral. I don't want to hear the word any case that starts with the F, get off my phone. I don't want to deal with it because you guys are running. So, these two guys, they're in Miami. So their stuff is coming to a head too. So
why are you, if you pay up the money, or the insurance company pays the money, and every 90 days, a portion of that money you're just not getting back.
Right.
At some point, do you just, at some point, you're not getting any of the money back.
Right. After 2 years, you get nothing back.
So if after 2 years, are you just I'm not even looking for the guy?
Yeah, you don't even look for them. They'll eventually get caught. But after 2 years, it's over. You don't get nothing back. So
how do you know they're in Miami?
Tips. Got some good tips.
Wait. What happened to the street code?
What street code? That money talks.
Right.
Yeah, money talks.
So it's basically I'll pay you. What do you pay for tips? So if it has to result in
an arrest. Yeah. So 5,000. I typically if their bonds are big, I'll say, hey, I get you 5,000.
Right.
So they get $5,000 cash.
So it's kind of negotiable, right? It might be $500.
500, exactly. Might be 1,000. But the bigger bonds, listen here, I'd rather pay you 5,000 than this 100,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, so people are like, oh yeah, I need the money. A lot of people need money, So.
Oh, it's not like you're giving up patriots here. You're not giving up, These aren't. It's not like It's not like you're giving up, good citizens. This guy's he's dealing, dope or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
So sometimes do you go in the hole trying to catch them, just to avoid the bigger loss?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And then, so if your reserves are dried up and the insurance has to pay it out eventually, is the insurance just going to eventually cut you?
Eventually.
So that's like the ultimate risk is
That's
like
the
you lose all your money and then you don't have any way to fund.
Exactly, your balance. Yeah. So that's why it's like, you have to get these people. You just can't just let them go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's your livelihood on the line. So, you have to get them. Like the ones that are in Miami, they were like a 25,000 and a 50,000. So I was focusing on, I had two bigger skips out. So now I can focus on them. So their day's coming.
Do you always have skips, or there's
yeah.
always somebody's out there?
It's always somebody going to skip. And it could be like a little $500 bond. It could be a little $1,000 bond. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I tell people I have thousands of clients, probably 1% to 2% are not going to go to court. They're going to run.
So how many bonds do you have out at any one time?
My liability right now out is probably $7 million.
Listen, what are you doing? Hey, you got a teaching degree and a psychology degree. Like, what do you like? You're raised in the suburbs. Like, what are you thinking?
I know.
You're dealing with these derelicts.
I know.
What?
I don't know. I just have always had a knack with dealing with people that are challenging, just challenging individuals.
Challenge? Like, that's the nicest way to put it. Like,
I don't want to call them
scumbags.
I try not to do. I dress their name up a little bit. Some of them are scumbags, but I try not to call them all that, because sometimes you have good people that have gotten in trouble. Like, I mean, I agree,
but those are like, these are distribution charges.
Yeah.
These are
not. Oh yeah.
This isn't. Well, sometimes they can. Sometimes you've got a low level drug addict who's really just selling enough to pay for his habit. Like, to me, is that distribution? I mean, it is distribution, but it's such a low level. It's like this is a guy who's just trying to. He's just broke. He can't function. He's just trying to pay enough to pay for his habit.
Right.
But then you've got the guys who they got multiple trap houses. They got employees practically. They're doing tons of this.
Big.
Yeah,
they're doing it real big.
Yeah, those guys. That's a problem.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a serious problem. I'm just like, you guys can't do this forever. Like, you gotta do something different. So.
Well, I wonder, and I always wonder when they run. Like, what are you thinking? Like, they can't get IDs. They can't
get a job. They can't do nothing. So it has to be difficult. When we caught Solanto, he looked like a booger wolf because his hair had grown all out, and but he was a dresser. He was dressed really nice. So whatever money he was making while he was on the run, he was buying clothes.
Still wants to look good.
Yeah, he wanted to look good.
I may be on the run, but I still want to look good.
And he did. I'm like, boy, you came in there looking sharp there. You look real nice. But yeah, you can't really do a lot while you're on the run. You can't.
What are your parents thinking? Like, what do your parents say when you sit down and have this conversation with your conservative parents with their normal middle class jobs? Like, they must have been like, "What are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're gonna get killed." And I'm like, Mom, Dad, just let me. I got this. I took a course. Exactly. And they taught us some defense mechanisms in this course. And so they're just like, so I had to delete them off of social media, because when I put out certain stuff about the, people that are on the run, they're like, the family is going to kill you. Their family is going to kill you. And I'm like, okay, Mom, Dad, whatever happens. This is my livelihood. You guys don't take care of me. I take care of myself, so.
What's funny is that kind of stuff. Like, it's like the guys who snitch on each other. They're always like, "Oh, watch out. They're going to kill you. They're going to," but that almost never. It's not the movies.
It's not the movies. Yeah, a lot of people, they just talk a good game. And I'm like, listen, I'm a badass too. Like, bring it on. I keep my gun with me wherever I go. So just let you know too, so. So my parents are just like, "Oh, we don't know about this." But I'm like, listen, like I said, you guys don't help me. This is what I do for a living.
But it's been several years now.
Yeah,
they feel more comfortable now.
Yeah.
Do you tell them any of your stories?
Oh yeah, they love to hear the stories. Yeah, they love to hear the stories. So, so they get some humor out of it too. So.
Does your son work out of your location, or is he planning on starting? Are you guys thinking about someday starting other locations?
Yes, we are going to start other locations. He has to work up under me for 2 years, so he's almost done. He has a few more months.
Well, then he's got to take the state test. And
He's
pass his
already
test.
taken it.
Oh,
They've
okay.
kind of changed stuff. Like you take the state test first now. It's a little bit different now. So he already passed the state test. He is a licensed bondsman, but he still has to work up under me for 2 years. So
Do you have to have, and I don't really know, I know it changed recently in Florida, but do you have to have a concealed weapons permit?
yes.
Did you have one? You had one prior.
Prior.
But didn't they recently change the law?
They did, but I already had mine.
Right.
And then I purchased my son one, a gun as well. So so he's able to carry because
So what is the law now?
So the law now is you basically anybody could have a gun. You just can't be like a felon, and
Right.
You can carry. Yeah, you can carry.
So you don't have to have a concealed weapons permit in
Permit
Florida.
in Florida.
You can carry a weapon concealed.
Concealed, exactly.
Yeah, I know my wife and I are obviously felons, and she was actually a hunter, a tour guide for like 6 years. So she's a hunter. She's alligators, hogs, deer. If you asked her out of everything about going to jail, losing, that is like voting, like all the things, all the negatives you could have. Her biggest problem is I want to be able to not even carry. I just want to be able to hunt.
Right.
She just wants to be able to go hunting.
Right.
And that it really upsets her.
I bet.
Because, she'll say, well, this and this, these people are, they're going, shooting. And I'm like, well, we're not going. And she's like, I know, I'm like, okay, just letting you know. Don't think we're not going.
That sucks.
Yeah. She doesn't. So
Yeah.
I know. And I actually had a concealed weapons permit.
Right.
But when I took the class, I used to think when I got my concealed weapons permit, like, oh, I'm going to carry everywhere.
Right.
And then I took the course.
Right.
And the guy that did the course or taught the course scared me so bad that I realized, like, it was all the reasons I wanted to have the gun. Like, oh, well, sometimes I go to the movies and it's really not a good area. And, we have to park your car over here. And like, I'll see some sketchy guys and I want to make sure that I have a weapon, with me in case something happens. And his whole thing was like, then why go?
Right.
Don't they have other theaters?
Exactly.
Why would you go?
Right.
He made all these valid points that talking to your idiot buddies don't come. When you're talking to your other 22-year-old buddies, it's like, yeah, bro, yeah. But then you start talking to this guy, and he's like, you realize if you pull your weapon and fire it, you'd better be able to cover this, because just because the guy mouthed off to you and there's all these things that you're like, the more you think about it, it was like you have to explain to the police why you went to an area why you had your gun on you, why you went to an area where you thought you needed your gun, why did you, why'd you have it on, why, all the steps, and you have to meet certain criteria to be able to use your weapon. Exactly. It got to the point where it's like, yeah, honestly, I got more of a problem having this thing on me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, your situation's different.
Yeah.
But, and even when I eventually had rental properties, it was the same thing. It was like, yeah, well, some of my rental properties are in bad areas. Yeah, but you can't go collect rent with a gun.
With a gun. Yeah.
Like, so because then it becomes a whole extortion, possible extortion thing.
Right.
So,
yeah, we try to keep the gun thing. I try not to use that because you just don't ever know which way it's going to go. And is it really worth it? And, and I just have a different approach. I let my psychological skills help me a lot in situations. Trying to talk people down. Like sometimes I won't have a bulletproof vest on, like just not having that. And they're more apt to talk to me, or I can talk them down, So,
well, I think most of the time too, if they're gonna run, they're gonna get into a shootout. They're just gonna run.
They're just gonna run,
right?
Yeah, they're just gonna run because you got the element of surprise. You just pop up on them. They know a lot of them don't have weapons on them, and they, but they just run, on foot. So. My son is extremely fast, so if you run, we're both gonna be on you.
He said he's a big guy.
Yeah. So we're gonna both chase you down. He's definitely a lot faster than me, but I'm going to run too. I keep my shoes on, my Nikes, and do what I have to do. So, and like I tell people, I build a relationship with my clients. So their response when they see me is a little different than when they see my team. Like, just the respect that they have for me, because like when they're out on bond, it's stressful. Their whole case is stressful. The whole court proceeding is stressful. So they call, and I counsel them. Like, they call all times of night, and I'll talk to them and, listen. So they appreciate that, so.
Do you ever know who their attorneys are?
Yeah, some of them.
Like a group of their attorneys?
Yep, some of the attorneys I know. Some of the attorneys refer their clients to me, so I'm building that relationship with attorneys in the area.
I was going to say, it's funny because, you just have a bunch of rental properties, and people always, the horror story of rental properties are, well, if you're evicting someone, what if they trash the place? And I had like over 50 rental units, and we were evicting like almost every other month where you're evicting somebody. And honestly, we'd only had one person that ever trashed the place, and really trashing the place didn't even consist of doing any real damage. Like, they cracked a window, they punched a couple holes in the drywall, but that was it.
Yeah.
And people, like, look, if I want to trash a place, I'll just take a hammer. You give me 5 minutes with a hammer, I'll do $50,000 worth of damage.
Absolutely.
They don't.
Right.
And people are like, well, I don't understand. I'm like, well, here's the thing. The people, even if they bitch and moan, the fact is, they know they owe the money.
Exactly.
And deep down, they might be upset and yell and scream and hate you and call you names and be angry at you. But the fact is, you didn't pay. Right. I have to evict you.
Exactly.
And same thing if you're coming for them. Like, they may be angry. You can't bring me to jail. You're trying to do this. But you owe the money.
Right. And you're going to go in eventually. You can't run forever.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of these people don't have the means. You got to have money. You got to have support. A lot of these people don't have that.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is your vetting process, or what are some signs that say this guy will be a good person to make bond for, or this guy is definitely going to be a problem?
Okay, so we do a background check to qualify a bond. So
what does that mean? Like, through who? Like LexisNexis or credit?
So we have arrest.org that you pull up all the arrests, and it has for multiple states. So I do my background checks on that. And then I have another system that does the background check as well. You don't want to bond out people that are, have like a bunch of prior failure to appear. So anybody with a failure to appear, I call them FTAs. I don't even bother with those type of bonds. Like, no, I'm not going to bond you because you have a history of missing court. You're a liability. So, you want to make sure you have a great signer, somebody that's employed, has something to lose. You want to make sure they haven't been just released from prison. Like 3 years is 3 years. You're not supposed to get in any trouble after you're being released from prison. So if they've been recently released from prison, won't do those type of bonds. But yeah, it's a gamble on any bond that you write, but you do want to look at those things like, do they have a prior history of FTAs? Are they a career criminal? Are they facing prison time? Is the signer really strong? The signer, will they be willing to help you if this person goes on the run? So,
what about like if the signer, like, do you ever have someone put up their house, or and how does that work? Like, if they have a $200,000 house and they have a mortgage on it that's $150,000, so they have $50,000 in equity. Like, is that what you're looking at, the equity?
The equity. So a lot of times, some of these people have houses that are completely paid for. So those are the houses that we like.
Yeah.
Those are collateral. We put that up for collateral. It's clear, no liens on the house. And so we some people put the house up for collateral, in lieu of paying the full bond premium too, because some people get it mixed up like, oh, well, we'll just give you the house. We don't have to pay anything. That's not how it works. It's like you put up the collateral and pay the bond premium. So like I had a $675,000 bond and the house was worth like $700,000. So they put up the house for collateral. You have to go file paperwork with the clerk of court and get it recorded so it's official. And then they paid the bond premium. So
what determines the size of the bond?
The type of crime, their background. Their background, like what type of criminal history do they have?
Yeah, it's like the dictatorship or the I want to say U.S. attorney. The state attorney determines like, hey, this guy was arrested for murder.
Right.
He's you know what I'm saying? He's been in jail before.
Right.
So they might say it's $100,000 because it was attempted murder. It's another $100,000 because he just did 5 years for battery.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's $200,000 or $500,000 or what. You know, they might really, because they're really concerned.
Right.
This person's, they feel is an immediate danger to society, and maybe they won't even show up.
Right. So it's in like an individual basis, based on like sometimes you have first time offenders, they'll release them on their own recognizance, ROR, meaning they don't have to pay anything. But yeah, it's all based on individual history and the crime that was committed.
What was your biggest bond?
$675,000. This was a robbery case, home invasion. It was $675,000. Young kid.
Home invader was able to come up with the 10%.
Yes.
If you can come up with that, what the hell are you doing home invasions
What are you doing
for?
home invasions for? That was crazy. Like, his family put all this money together to get him out. He was a young kid, like, grandma retired, so grandma got a stash. That's her favorite little grandchild. So, whoa.
How long ago was that?
That was about a year ago.
Oh, what, is that case resolved?
It is. He got prison time, got 3 years in prison. He was
for
facing
home invasion?
I know something about that case is I don't know, but he was facing like 20 years and then it ended up being 3 years. So
Yeah, that's
something was I don't know.
the guys that are with him are doing the 20.
Yeah.
It just spread some of that around.
Yeah, that case I was just like, whoa.
How nervous were you writing that?
I wasn't that nervous because the house,
okay.
the collateral security. So if you run, the houses were going to cover that $675,000. So those are the bonds that you could sleep at night when you have collateral.
Right.
Yeah. But a lot of times people don't have collateral. So, but the ones that you secure the bond with the collateral, you can sleep at night.
So who makes the determination on whether or not you're going to give them a bond? Is it just you, or is it you and the insurance company? Like
Right.
if you said, I want to make this bond, is the insurance company, could they look at it and go, no?
Yes, they do review bonds that are over 100,000.
Okay.
They let us decide what we want to do, 100,000 or less, but after 100,000 more, then they have a committee that reviews it.
How long does that take?
It takes a couple hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do a
I thought you were
thorough.
gonna say days.
No, they do a thorough background check, and they'll be like, "No, this is why we don't want to approve this. This is why we will approve it."
That seems like a fun job.
Yeah.
It's one of those jobs nobody thinks that's even a job. You never hear that in middle school.
No, they're underwriters for for bonds. Like, so that's So they're gonna guide you on these big bonds too. Yeah.
This just seems like a lot of fun.
It is. It really is. It's so exciting every day. Like, you just don't know what you're gonna get. You just.
What's your favorite part about the whole process?
My favorite part is helping people. And then, like, I was the type that I didn't like to go pick up people because I just wasn't trained. My supervisor didn't train me on doing pickups. But sometimes, as long as the pickup goes good, like, I love that part. Like, you get this, your adrenaline goes up and you get this high, like, oh, I got this, got to get this person. And when you get them in handcuffs, you're like, oh my, I do like a cheerleader type jump and all. Oh, man, I put on a show. So that's kind of exciting to me. But I try to write the best bonds I can so I don't have to be out in the field like that, because you don't know. Some people don't really want to go to prison. So you might, you're risking your life.
So how do you think you learned about, if you have to go get somebody, where do you think your skills developed? Have you gotten better over the years of capturing? Was there a class that you took, previous experience?
So I just have gotten better, with the experience. Like, one dude ran under a house, and I wasn't expecting that. It was like a traffic failure to appear. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, he ran under the house. So we had to go under the house with our tasers and have our flashlights and stuff and drag him.
This is like an old wood frame house.
Yeah,
that's
wood
up
frame
on-
up. Yeah. And so I'm like, why did you do that? He's like, I don't know, miss. I should have just turned myself. I said, this is my first time doing this, like running under a house. Like I've never done this before. So, but it was actually kind of fun. And because once you get them in custody, you're like, phew, it's like a relief. Like
When these guys run from you, does that hurt their sentencing eventually? Like, will they serve more time because of that?
Yes.
And they're running because they don't want to go to court. Like, are they running because in one of these court dates they might just go ahead and book them straight from court to jail, or why are they running?
they're trying to avoid sentencing.
So they know like this court date is going to be my sentencing.
This is my sentence. Yeah.
And I'm gonna go to court and go straight to jail.
Straight to
after.
jail.
Okay.
Yep. They're going to take me in custody at the court.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that yet.
Yeah.
A lot of times they say they got to handle business outside and stuff like that.
In the state of Florida, once you're sentenced, do they allow you to turn yourself in at the prison sometimes?
Sometimes.
Or typically they just bring you in right
Yep.
then?
Sometimes they allow them to handle their affairs, and then they have a certain date to turn themselves in. So I know a lot of federal cases are like that. State cases, typically when pre-trial and you accept the deal, they'll take you into custody right there.
Right then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
What's the longest that somebody has been on the run?
The longest for me has been 8 months.
8 months.
And this is the guys in Miami.
No.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, the longest one in Miami. I take that back. It is the ones in Miami. It's a year and a half now.
Yeah, I guess the one but you captured the one 8 months.
Yeah,
So,
I captured that one. But these guys have been on the run for about 18 months.
When you bring them in to, do you bring them to Orient County?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Whatever county I bonded them out of.
okay, I'm sorry, Orient County. I'm sorry, I meant
Hillsborough.
Orient County or
Orient Road Jail.
Jail.
Mm-hmm.
So you bring them straight to the jail.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk in, like how are the deputies like cool with you? They're just like, hey, what's going on?
Oh, yeah. I have a great relationship with them. But yeah, we walk them into the area where they book them, and they get me, take off my handcuffs and put their handcuffs on them. And, and yeah, I have a great relationship with them, the deputies at the jail.
So you said you had $7 million in liability right now. How many people is that? Like, I know it's probably going to vary, but on average, like how many people at a time are you kind of managing or kind of under bond or whatever it's called?
Probably 500.
Wow. So how big is your team, like your internal team?
So it's me and my son, and then the team that goes to help me, it's like probably 5 or 6 of them. Like 5 or 6.
5 or 6 don't go out every time.
They don't
It's
go
kind
out
of revolving, right?
Yeah. Because sometimes you don't need that much manpower, But yeah, it's just me and my son. We run our agency, and then the other bail bond agents that go out, they have their own agents, their own agencies. I mean,
Right.
So
somebody else might call your son and say, "Hey, we've got to skip,"
yep, and he'll go out.
and he'll just say, "Hey, can you go with us? It's
Right.
going to take probably a few hours," or
Yeah.
"Hey, we know exactly where he is."
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Jump in there.
and he will go and get people by himself. I'm like, you can't do that, but he'll be like, Mom, I got him.
So what percentage of people are skipping out, you think? Like
1
or 2%.
Yeah, 1 to 2%. Most people are going to go through the process, get their stuff over with, and be done with.
So most of them, you probably do the initial deals, and then they're pretty much take care of themselves.
They take care of themselves. Yeah, a lot of them will get an attorney, and a lot of them are offered a deal, and they take the deal, and it's over.
Is there anything that is it everything? They're all different. Like anybody you ever get, and you always think to yourself, this is a possible person that may take off.
The fentanyl cases.
That's just okay.
Yeah, and so that's why I don't even bond on fentanyl anymore. Certain cases, the U.S. Marshals are going to get involved. Like if they've murdered somebody, any violent type crimes, the U.S. Marshal is going to help you find them.
Right.
So,
or do the U.S. Marshals get involved? Like if they leave the state, if they've left the state,
they're going to get involved. But in certain cases, they're going to help you. So I just had another big pickup, but the bond was $290,000. The U.S. Marshals got her last week. It was a DUI manslaughter case, and she ran. She was supposed to have ankle monitor. The jail failed to put the ankle monitor on her, and they were doing breathalyzers with her. And she blew dirty one of those tests. And so they ended up revoking her bond, and she's like, they scheduled a court day, and she's like, I'm not going. So she was on the run for like 50 days. She was on the run for 50 days. So the U.S. Marshals actually got her the other day, thank God.
And how did they track her down? Just somebody, a tip?
A tip, and then they had ways of pinging phones, and they got all type of stuff to find people. Yeah. Tracking people that you're around, following. People can be looking at you and following. You don't even have a clue. So it's all type of stuff out there. It's really hard to be on the run. I wouldn't want to be on the run because you can't live comfortable. But yeah. So like I said, certain cases, the U.S. Marshals are going to help you find.
So normally when we have cons or ex-criminals on the show, I ask them like, what's their closest call or like their closest escape? So on the flip side of that, have you had any or what's like maybe your greatest escape or someone who you're right there and they're able to get away?
So the guy we were at the Family Dollar, and he drove.
Because you thought you had a box in.
Yeah, I thought I had a box in. It was just somebody. I had another guy with me, which was an intern, and he just left a little bit of too much space. You just would have blocked him in the way, So, oh my God, I was so livid because we should have got him that day. And so he was able to just drive in the little crack, and I'm like, wow. So that was a lesson learned. You learn as you go.
Right.
Yeah, you learn as you go. So that was a kind of close call.
Do you find it harder dealing with people that you knew previously?
Yes, those are the worst. It's the people that you know. Those are the problematic bonds. Family and friends.
You think because they feel like they can get over on you, or that they...
Yeah, like, oh, I know her, So those are the worst. People that come to me that I don't have a clue who they are, those are the best bonds. But my problematic bonds have been from people that have referred a bond to me and they were close to me. Those have been my problematic bonds.
Were you born in Tampa?
I was born in Tampa. I lived in Bloomingdale my whole life, suburbs.
Okay.
Family is from the hood, though.
Okay.
My dad just
where?
Like Progress Village area, I guess they consider it Riverview now. But my dad was the one that went and got a job and worked for Tico. My mom was a school teacher for 35 years, so I lived in suburbs my whole life. But my family, they lived in the hood, and we would go over there all the time. So that's where I get the little hoodish side of me from.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet, but I'm sure it'll come out.
It'll come out.
We got you angry yet. So did you, a lot of brothers, sisters? So
I have a brother that passed away when I was 19 from cancer. And I have a sister. She lives in Houston, Texas now.
Okay.
And so it's just the three of us.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Tampa Bay Tech.
Okay.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Tech. I graduated in 98.
And college?
I went to USF.
Okay, me too.
Oh, go Bulls.
Yeah.
So I went to USF, and then I went back to school at Nova Southeastern University for school psychology.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, and to be what?
To be a school psychologist.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Is that what you always wanted to do when you were growing up, or?
No.
I mean, of course you wanted to be an astronaut. Like I wanted to be an astronaut, but then I started doing math and I was like, this is never going to happen.
Right.
But what did you originally want to do? So
I really didn't have it wasn't like a career that I wanted to do out there. I really want to do this. I ended up getting married and having kids, and my mom was a teacher, and I'm like, this is the best schedule for me with kids. I had 3 kids, so I became a school teacher. So as a teacher, everybody wanted to tell me all their problems. And so I'm like, maybe I need to go back to school and become a psychologist. So I went back to school to become a school psychologist and did that. So everybody could come and tell me their problems, and I got paid a little bit more in the district. So then I just ended up working with all the at-risk individuals in the school district. So I'm like, I just have a knack of working with individuals that are challenging. So I ended up doing the school psychology. It was about 6 or 7 years.
Right.
And then just still wasn't making enough of money. I got a divorce, crazy divorce. And I was raising 3 kids by myself. And I was working little part-time jobs as I worked in the school district. And I'm like, you know what? I am sick of working like this. So let me think of a plan, So I'm like, let me just Google bail bonding,
I mean, why? How'd you pull
bail bonding? Because I'm like, it's got to be lucrative because people go to jail every day.
Yeah, everybody always asks, like, aren't you worried about running out of content? I'm like, people aren't going to stop getting arrested.
They're not going to stop getting,
crime.
It's getting worse.
Right.
So I was like, I was actually at my job at the school district. How do you become a Bailbondsman? And so it's like 2 courses that you take, and then you do an internship. And I'm like, I can do that. I got my master's degree, my specialist degree. I can do that. I can pass this.
I met some Bailbondsmen.
Exactly.
They're not rocket
They're not rocket. Exactly. So I go and I register for the course at HCC. And when I take the class, it's 4 weeks, and it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 4 weeks. And I'm like, oh my God, I really like this stuff.
For what? For like an hour?
No, all day. It's like 8 to 5.
Oh, okay.
It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you're getting a whole lot of information, but, it was wonderful. Class was amazing. So you take that class, finish that, take a test, pass the test.
Is it a state test?
You do eventually take a state test.
Oh, okay.
So that was just the classroom test for HCC. So then you have to take a online course at the University of Florida. So I took that as self-paced, finished that in about 2 weeks, took the test for that, passed that. And then you have to do an internship. So you have to go and say, seek a Bailbondsman and say, hey, can I work up under you for a year? And a lot of them are like, no, because it's a very competitive field.
Right.
So it took me a long time to get an internship. So probably about 8-9 months after I finished up the coursework, I landed an internship with a Bailbondsman in Tampa, Landon Bail Bonds.
Well, were you still working as a teacher?
Yes, I was working as a school psychologist in the district.
Sorry, a psychologist.
Yeah, yep. I was working as a school psychologist as all of this was going on. So when I would get off of work, once I landed the internship, once I would get off of work from the district, I would go do my hours for bail bonding. And I would work to probably about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And just every day, just knocking out these hours. You needed 1,500 hours to complete your internship.
Okay.
So,
but the guy you're under, he's the one who's signing off on whether you were there or not, right?
Yeah.
He's the one who's saying, she was there from 5 to 7 today.
Right. Exactly. So she signs off at the end of the month or whatever, and your hours just start accumulating. So it took me about 1.5 years to get my hours. So once that was done, you go take the state test. When passed the state test, and then I became a licensed bail bondsman.
How hard is a state test compared to the classroom tests?
It was difficult. It's way more difficult than the classroom test.
Well, plus it's been 18 months.
Exactly. So
I think I wouldn't remember anything in 18 months.
Exactly. So, so the state test is a lot more difficult. But thank God I had material to study and was able to go ahead and pass that test. And then I became licensed. And so I'm like, whoa, what do I do now? So I'm like, I know I didn't want to work with my supervisor anymore. I just wanted to do my own thing. So, but I still needed to learn some things. So I went and worked for another bail bondsman right down the street from the jail, A1 Rapid Release. And they taught me different things that I didn't learn during my internship. And so I'm rolling in the dough. It's a lot of dough coming through. And I'm like, wow, I can do this myself. And then I can make all of this and no one getting a cut of my money. So I would post bonds at the jail, and I just started talking to other bail bondsmen. And I'm like, hey, how do I get connected with an insurance company? And I ran into the right guy. and he gave me insurance company's information.
If people want to find you, we'll put your the link to your. Do you have a website?
I do. I have a
Okay, we'll
website.
put the link to the website, and
Okay.
we're going to put the link to the Instagram.
Yes.
In the description box.
Absolutely.
And if you have an email or something like that, how do people typically?
So a lot of people find me on Google, and then they'll have the phone number and they'll call.
Okay, what's the name?
It's Duke's Bail Bonds inside of Tampa.
Okay.
And we bond in Hillsborough County, Polk County, Pasco, Manatee, and Pinellas. And if you have any other counties in the state, we can bond as well. We could do something called a transfer bond. But a lot of people find me just by Googling Duke's Bail Bonds or bail bonds in the area. And a lot of people will put like a form online, and I'll respond back to the forms as well. But yeah, bail bonds in the area, and I'll pop up.
Hey, thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos like this. Also, please consider joining my Patreon, share the video, leave a comment, and check the description for all of those links that we just talked about. I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. See ya.